Namaste and welcome to Nepal's top 7 debaters produced by today's Youth Asia.
This is the first competition round of grade 10, 11 and 12. And the topic of today's competition is the battle against climate change is being lost.
The participants have been divided evenly to speak for and against the motion.
Let us invite the first debater, Pavan Giri of Capitol Hill College from grade 12. He will be speaking for the motion.
It will be irresponsible of us if we do not mention the climate change in the story that asked why the size of the hurricane and storm is increasing, why the global temperature is increasing, and why the rate of melting ice is increasing. The recent report shows that the 80% of the glacier of Mount Kilimanjaro has been melted. Mount Everest, Mount Andes, islands of the Greenland and Alaska has been melting. The rate of melting ice has been doubled in the recent few years, and it is resulting the up to 2 millimeter increase in sea level. The global increase in temperature is 0.8% every year, and the weather station of USA has predicted that the high and low temperature, the ratio of high and low temperature will be 20:1 in the mid-century, and if it is deducted then it will be 8:1. This all data shows that the rate of increase in temperature, melting ice, ecosystem, quality of the air, etc. all are in degrading condition and they are all out of control. My opponent may argue that we need more time and money to control this climate change. But how much time do we need and how much conference do we have to do? The conference on climate change 1975, 1990 and 2008 is not enough. Isn't the Tokyo conference and 8 Hippie conference on climate change enough? Or the average expenditure of 900 million every year is enough? It all shows and draw the conclusion that all the efforts of climate, United Nations educational program, World Climate Program, etc. all has been failed, and all the NGOs work has been failed, and the money wasted on the climate has been wasted. So these all can draw the conclusion that the battle for climate change is being lost. Thank you.
To present her views against the motion, we have Sunita Tamang starting in grade 10 in Sahid Dharma Bhakta.
Climate change, a global issue, today's concern from every individual, from every international level and national level. We have been fighting since many years back then with climate change problem. Like every problem has its solution, same as the climate change can also be won. The battle of this climate change can also be won. The works done before and running today and will be running day after day, I will inform you about what are the runnings and we did in past and we are going to do in future plans. In past, we did so many plans that has been successful, like the Brazilian government has conducted sustainable procurement, which has been 194% successful compared to the 2011. We can see, friends, about nearly 200% success was gained. And in present, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, he has been calling many leaders and many representatives of environment ministry of different nations. Total nations are 174 nations unified, and has called them, binding them in one group to concern about climate change. This also proves that plans are still running, and the future plans of Westchester, they have an action plan of minimizing their carbon footprint by 20% by 2015 and 50% by 2050. See, friends, from past to future, we have so many plans. We are in between of this battle. How can we say we lost this battle? If we give up, then who will be the one to fight this climate change problem? if we give up, then what will our generation say? I think you all know that before 5 years, so many people said that in 2013 the world is gonna destroy, our earth is gonna destroy. Because of this thinking, climate change battle has been lost. Because of this thinking, people are being unaware. These people who give up in the middle of the battle makes our earth unpreserved and unsatisfied. Moreover, about 99% in USA and 96% in Japan, they are already literate about climate change, which is a great progress. If we go on like this, we can win this battle. And in my opinion, we also can win this battle if we never give up. And at last, try to go green. It doesn't mean that you have to paint your house with green. Thank you.
Next, we have Sushila Karki of National Integrated College of Grade 12. And she will be speaking for the motion.
My fellow opponents here argue that the battle against the climate change is not being lost, but I totally disagree with them. As they are saying, actions always speaks more than a word. In the year 1979, World Meteorological Organization first conducted the conference regarding world climate change. Since then, voices from around the world are rising globally in order to conserve our climate. But yet, though it has been discussed from so many years, it has not yet gained any significant outcome so that we can believe that our battle against the climate change is not being lost. According to NASA, 10 out of 11 hottest year has been this year during the climate change. World Meteorological Organization convinced that the extreme of climate change has now become the normal with the unpredictable result the climate change is showing during the last year. In 2000 super typhoon that roared across the Philippines killed 9,000 people and it displaced thousands of people. Besides that, Hurricane Sandy that took place in the Caribbean and east coast of the USA killed many of the peoples and it also displaced many of the settlements. Besides this, how can we forget the coldest winter we have been suffering this year? Besides this, snow melting, acid rain and extinctions of flora and fauna now has been common. So my fellow opponent, aren't these evidence close enough to make you realize that our battle against the climate change is really being lost? Moreover, I don't think this battle really exists because those conference, seminars, campaign programs that my fellow opponent mentioned are really useless because those are the same countries which are contributing more to the climate change. So what is the point of the battle if it is not showing any fruitful result? Isn't that battle useless? I think this battle is really useless because climate change issues is not showing any improvement so that we can say that this battle is really helpful. So my fellow opponent, there is no point in arguing that our battle against the climate change is not being lost because this is the battle we are already losing. Thank you.
Our next participant is Angela Chapagai, starting in grade 10 in Skyrider School. She'll be speaking against the motion.
Climate change refers to the deterioration in the balance of environment brought by the various factors like smoke, dust, dirt, gases and so on. Climate is a vital part for the existence of human beings as well as the other living beings. My opponent said that the fight against climate change is lost, but I will totally disagree with her because the battle against climate change is not lost. The plannings are not only in the words, they are getting implemented day by day. Recently, a UN climate conference in Doha, Qatar agreed in December to extend the Kyoto Protocol, a treaty that limits the greenhouse gas output of some rich countries, and it has adopted a global climate by 2015. This treaty was previously conducted in Copenhagen, Denmark, named COP15, which was able to reduce 23 large smoke-emitting industries. Is not this the effort for the climate change? Yeah, it is the effort for the climate change. Likewise, from the side of Nepal also, the former Prime Minister of Nepal, Madhav Kumar Nepal, held a convention at the Kala Patthar, the summit of the world, and it was able to establish a watershed area and the national park in the far western hills. Likewise, the US President Barack Hussein Obama in his inauguration announcement has announced to revive the activities for global actions to cool the planet. He further added that our future generations will be roasted, toasted, fried and grilled if we do not give our attention towards the preservation of climate. In this regard, we are giving our best effort for the climate change. So how can we say that the fight against climate change is lost? A worldwide sustainability movement rooted from the Earth Hour, a global campaign of WWF Singapore has encouraged the individuals, business and the government to act positively and take the positive actions for the conservation of environment. Furthermore, we are conducting the afforestation program which is a must for acting against the climate change. We are reducing the carbon emitting vehicles and so on. So my opponent who says that the battle against climate change is lost is still in the primitive age or has no access of communication facilities. Thank you.
Moving on to the cycle, we have Anushka Ponte from Sri Satya Sai Shiksha Sadan of grade 10, and she will be speaking for the motion.
After the beginning of Industrial Revolution in 19th century, during 1960s, the effects of climate change started with severe natural disasters, where 5.2 million people were flood victims and 35 million people were afflicted by droughts in Africa alone. My former speaker said very easily that the effects of climate change are being minimized. Let me tell you, in 1972, Greenpeace was organized in 30 countries with the investment of 6 million members and a sum of $100 million. It mainly focused on oceanic and terrestrial ecology, environment, toxic substances, nuclear issues. Despite such huge efforts, after 40 years, I have witnessed no spatial metamorphosis so far. The polar ice caps are melting, glaciers are retreating, sea levels are rising. We have seen that low-lying lands like Maldives are drowning. Storms, droughts, floods, heavy waves, heat waves, and loss in biodiversity have pressurized the day-to-day lives of living beings. Many plants and animals are not able to cope with the existing climatic change. Species like polar bears, seals, walruses are especially vulnerable to such changes. These are the effects of man-made climate change. It is we individuals who are to be blamed. We could have cherished the bananas grown in our own field, but not. We want bananas to be imported from Kerala. We want air conditioners, cars, refrigerators. These are the main causes behind climate change. All I want to say is, all the UN's protocols, conventions will be useless if we are not able to bring changes in our attitudes. We have never tried to imagine how much energy and fuel is consumed just to transport a single Nokia mobile phone all the way from Finland to Nepal. So we humans now need to respond to the changes of climate by changing our attitudes and behaviors, simply because the failure to do so will betray us, our children, and the future generation. Thank you.
To present her views against the motion, we have Nancy Bogatti of Buranil Kanta School from grade 12.
My opponent friend talked about climate change and gave examples of how climate change is prevalent in the world today. And I agree with my opponent. There is climate change going on in the world today. But let me shift your attention towards the topic. It's not about whether there is climate change or there is not climate change. It's about the fight, whether the fight against climate change is being won or lost. And if there was no climate change, why would we be fighting? But there is climate change, and we are fighting against it, and we are not losing the battle. Let us just compare our generation with our parents' generation. In our parents' generation, how many siblings did our parents have? 6, 7. Our generation, how many siblings do we have? 2, 1, 0. Why is that? It's because people are being aware that population increase can cause climate change, because more population means more demand, more deforestation, more pollution, and more climate change. Our world is becoming aware about climate change. The government is taking initiative to educate the children at school. We joined Environment Club. We go out we organize tree plantation programs. We talk about global warming. Today, even America, which is one of the countries who never believed in global warming, is talking about global warming today. Even Barack Obama, in his second speech, expressed his concern about global warming. He said that America is going to fight against climate change from today onwards. And isn't that a change? The whole world is coming together to fight against climate change. And we are winning the battle because the whole world is becoming aware about climate change. And for those of you who believe that we have lost the battle, We never really lose unless we give up. And we are not losing. We are winning. Thank you.
And now we have Navneet Jha of AJW College of A-Levels from grade 12, and he will be speaking for the motion.
It is funny to see my colleagues talk about the all fancy summits like the Kyoto Protocol and the Copenhagen Summit, and take in consideration the quotes of Barack Obama himself. He told that he's concerned about climate change. But I say, my friends, being concerned isn't just enough. You have to act, and act now. Listen, 40% of the African countries are in drought, while since 2005 to 2012, we faced 7 late monsoons, and that's each year we faced a monsoon which was late almost to 1 or 2 weeks, let's say. So how can we say that the war or the battle against climate change is being lost? I say we have never been winning the battle. We have always been losing, or there was never a battle. You see, the world temperature or the temperature of the globe has risen almost by 1% since the past decade. And my friends here are always, or I see them being concerned over the big phenomena like melting of the glaciers, rising the sea levels, and etc. But my friends, climate change do happen at the minor levels, and it is evident that just this winter we are facing the coldest winter in Nepal itself. So how can we say that the war against climate change is being lost? I am not blaming that we are losing the war because we are not being able to provide resources and we are not being able to accommodate our all the resources to fight against them. But I am just supporting the motion that we are losing the war just because we are involved directly and we are not being accountable for what we should act now. So we are losing the war against climate change. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call on stage Utsav Niraula of Xavier International College, starting in grade 12. He'll be speaking against the motion.
Well, I agree with all my colleagues who are saying for these topics. I mean, yes, global warming is happening, climate change is happening. Even the proof of climate change today, I mean, the winter today is a great proof that climate change is taking place. But how can you say those conventions, those protests, those activities that are going against is not helpful? Because as they say, a walk of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Without initiation, no process can take place. Without talking about it, without communicating, without knowing the process, we cannot stay forward. We cannot, without making plans, we cannot initiate them. So, considering the fact that Obama said this, or any conventions are taking place, they're taking place for the good. They want to take the initiative. That's why they're happening over there, right? And since we're talking about the change, I guess there have been a lot of changes since then. My friend talked about refrigerators and AC fans. Well, let me tell you that in the past 90s, refrigerators used CFCs, which are very harmful to ozone layers, which is the prime cause for global warming. Presently, any refrigerators or ACs use nitrogens, carbon dioxides, which are not so harmful and which is not considered as a prime aspect which causes global warming. So if change are not happening, why are these innovations taking place? We have solar panels, except of using hydropower too much. Except using petroleum, we use alternative fuels. Except using nuclear energy, we use solar panels. Germany is one of the best example for it. So initiations are taking place, but may not be in a great process, but in a small steps, because that's what we need today. I mean, our world has faced a lot of disasters due to this climate change, and we cannot say that it's going to end just by 1 or 2 processes or just by 1 or 2 steps. We need a series of steps to make it happen. And yes, the war against climate change is going on, and we're in the side of winning. Thank you.
Our next participant is Lucia Silva of St. Xavier's Higher Secondary School, who will be speaking against the motion.
According to me, the battle against climate change started in the year 1992 after the formation of the Kyoto Protocol and the introduction of low-carbon technology in Asia-Pacific Partnership Agreement in 2007. The industrialized countries of our world have already set up this ambitious target to reduce the carbon dioxide emission to reduce by 80% by 2050 in the Copenhagen summit. Let me tell you, to do that, the greenhouse gas concentrations are to be stabilized at a level lower than 550 ppm of carbon dioxide according to the research of the World Bank, whereas currently now the concentration of carbon dioxide is 425 ppm of carbon dioxide. So this means that we have not lost the battle. According to CDM, Clean Development Mechanism, and carbon trade, which was proposed by 12 countries, out of which Nepal is also a member, according to this rule, according to this policy, developing countries like Nepal can be provided with financial incentives for carrying out afforestation and absorbing the carbon dioxide which are developed by the which are produced by the developed countries of the world. My opponents frequently focused on the fact that the emission of carbon dioxide is increasing in the atmosphere, but let me enlighten you with a technology that has been recently discovered by scientists. This is called carbon capture and storage. This is a method by which the carbon dioxide, instead of emitting into the atmosphere, can be trapped inside the ground in the geological areas of the earth. So someday we must be hopeful that this technology can become a boon to mitigate climate change. So assuming that climate change battle, we are losing the climate change battle, is another way of saying that we don't have faith, hope, and even optimism in our human efforts to combat climate change. We are the change makers, and the power of change lies just within us. It's just our duty to discover and act it out. Thank you.
After their selection, today's participants will be back with another debate topic.
In this category, Angela Chapagai of grade 10 from Skyriders High School has received the maximum Facebook likes amounting to 180. Congratulations, Angela.
You can vote for your favorite debater by liking their photo in our Facebook page. If you are a student studying in between grade 7 and bachelor's level, you can apply for Nepal's top 7 debaters. Our viewers can also send us debate topics for our upcoming episodes.
Today's topic, the battle against climate change is being lost, was sent by Ms. Pratiksha Baral, studying in bachelor's level at Slington College. She has received a cash prize of ₹1,000. Congratulations, Pratiksha.
We invite you to participate in the alternative education programs run by today's Youth Asia. You can call the TYA office at 425-7250 or email us at youthtya@gmail.com. We will be back next week. Namaste.